All right, how to handle sweets on Tribal Shred 101. We got a huge hack here that turns what might feel like a crutch and something that holds you back into a launching pad, the ultimate reversal here. So the protocol for sweets, and this could be for like ice cream, pizza, beers, a couple glasses of wine with your wife, whatever it is that's a deviation from the standard protocol, I'm going to call that sweets. Now, we have room for 2 allowances per week. You get into 3, well, now you're looking at 3 out of 7 days having something that's off plan. Going to be kind of tough for you to make progress on your goals when almost half the time you're doing what you don't want to be doing. All right, so we got 2 allowances. Now, the real hack and what can turn the idea of sweets being something that holds you back into a new launching pad is the idea of having sweets but staying within a calorie deficit. Now, in my experience, this is made possible by the significant windows of time without calorie intake on the standard Tribal Shred 101 protocol. When you are consistently going 4+ hours, 6+ hours, some days waiting until noon or even 2 p.m. to have calories, your body becomes way more accustomed with that feeling of being a little bit hungry, but now all of a sudden you're associating that with feeling lean, feeling like you're on top of your game, and it's not something where you're like freaking out, looking to like panic and go off plan. So when you do choose to go off plan, I'll give you an example of my off plan right now. So my family's been doing this thing. I invented this thing called Pizza Picnic, where we go get takeout slices from the local pizza joint, bring them to a local park, hang out, and have pizza. Now, in the past, I have historically had no problem being the guy that's like, well, if I'm going to have pizza, at least 3 slices, might as well have 4, and, 1 more slice, what's that? I could do 1 more, that kind of thing. And so now, all of a sudden, whenever I've gone off plan in the past, it's been, okay, now you got single whammy on it being an off-plan actual calorie substance, generally lower nutritional value, but then also double whammy of it's a surplus of calories, right? So now I'm having like a big setback. Well, what I've experienced on Tribal Shred, and this is where this turns the setback into a launching pad, is that on my Pizza Picnic protocol, I'm just getting 1 slice to go. I'm still having pizza with the family. I'm still hanging out. We're having a good time. But I'm controlling my volume, and so I am staying in that calorie deficit, and now all of a sudden I'm waking up and I'm at the bare minimum at the same weight that I was the day before, but very likely even lighter because of that deficit. And that right there, when you start to see that, you start to feel that in your body, you start to have those 4 hour, 6 hour, 12+ hour gaps with no calorie intake. It becomes way easier to manage. I'll tell you when I really struggle with sweets is when I'm having freaking food around the clock. I'm doing that thing where I'm like nibbling on snacks in the morning. I'm having a meal at 3 p.m. I had lunch at noon, meal at 3, snacks at 4, dinner at 6. Like, that is the season of diet that makes it really hard for me to control my volume around sweets or off-plan stuff. Now, 1 slice of pizza, that's pretty extreme. Like, that's pretty hardcore. Like, if I can keep that dialed in, that's great. But we've even had some nights where we'll do Pizza Picnic and then we'll go get ice cream. And in the past, same deal as the pizza, I've had no problem being the guy that's like triple scoop waffle cone. Even back in my early 20s, I was having an entire, not even an entire pint, an entire half gallon of Turkey Hill cookie dough ice cream back when I was living in Philly. But on Tribal Shred, I have 2 scoops in a cup and I'm good to go. I'm staying in that deficit. And again, I'm waking up a pound or even 2 pounds lighter. Now, when we apply the principle of the carbs at dinner, right, we have that mindset, we have that mental knowledge that knows, oh, I had some carbs last night. That means that I got some energy in my system that I can go burn off, right? I got juice in me. Well, that might influence you to go get some extra movement in the morning. If you had a couple of scoops of ice cream, piece of 2 or pizza, something like that. And that is the way that you keep this whole system churning, right? You don't wake up, think about the average guy. The average guy might have a couple of beers, couple of scoops of ice cream, then he wakes up, then he has an oatmeal bomb, a carb bomb for breakfast, and then sits at his desk all day. Well, then his energy balance is all jacked up. Whereas on the Tribal Shred 101, right, we're understanding when energy comes in, we got a place to go put it. And that, paired with the periods of time without calorie intake, that is where we are just dominating. We are just absolutely dominating. Now, I'll give you another example, because 4th of July was last weekend. Now, I'm not drinking all the time, but 4th of July, we go out, we're hanging out at a parade in town, we decide to go to a brewery. I'm hanging out at the brewery, my wife and I are having a good time together, we have a couple of beers. I got no problem with that. Especially because I was already riding a calorie deficit. I had Maple Boost in the morning that had fueled my bike ride with Jack to the parade. But then all of a sudden, we're going 3-4 plus hours. I had no calories. We're at the brewery. I decide to have 2 beers. Good. I'm going to wait on the actual lunch that I have, and I'm going to have that a little bit later. Right? So that would be another example of, hey, I'm going off plan, but I am riding this deficit so that I am not compounding the negative effects of going off plan and being in a calorie surplus. Because the whole idea here is we're staying jacked, staying lean, staying on top of our mindset, and we're also strategically seeing where we can make moves to keep this whole thing just turning together. So that's how you do sweets on Tribal Shred 101.